Dear English learners, you all are welcome to my YouTube channel, The Grammar Point. Today I am going to discuss another important lesson with you, which is uncountable nouns. Today we are going to learn about uncountable nouns. Firstly, I am going to define uncountable nouns. Then I am going to discuss types of uncountable nouns. Finally, we are going to discuss sentence structures or how to use uncountable nouns in sentences. There are some important grammar rules that you need to remember when it comes to uncountable nouns. Therefore, I am going to discuss all the grammar rules related to uncountable nouns with you. Another thing you have to keep in mind, this topic is somewhat diverse, so there are a lot of exceptions. Therefore, what you need to do is you have to find more examples related to uncountable nouns because there are different exceptions and variations. There are other names we can use for uncountable nouns. We can say non-count nouns or mass nouns for uncountable nouns. What are the uncountable nouns? Simply, uncountable nouns mean nouns that we cannot count. Just think about sugar, salt, water, and milk. Can we count? No. However, there are different ways of counting them, but we can't count them one by one. Therefore, the first characteristic of uncountable nouns is we can't count. Secondly, we can't separate uncountable nouns into smaller units. Then we can define uncountable nouns as nouns that cannot be separated or counted. Hereafter, I am going to discuss the types of uncountable nouns. The first category is abstract nouns. But you need to remember all abstract nouns are not uncountable. Some abstract nouns are countable. What are the examples for uncountable abstract nouns? Help, hope, experience, death, birth, suspicion, and mercy. The next category is the names of substances. This is the most famous one. You all are familiar with this one. What are the examples? Rice, oil, cream, cement, coffee, water, milk. We can't separate these substances into smaller units. Therefore, these nouns are uncountable. The next one is ideas and concepts. Can we count ideas or concepts? No. Look at the examples. Work, idea, advice, information, fun, luck, and news. There's another important point. Work is countable in some places, but in some places it's uncountable. We are going to discuss it later. There are other uncountable nouns in English. These nouns could be counted in your mother tongue. What are the examples? Baggage, shopping, camping, damage, furniture, weather, parking, information, rubbish, knowledge, hair, and luggage. The next one is the most important one. There are grammar rules that you need to remember. Firstly, remember that uncountable nouns are always singular, but there are some exceptions. We are going to discuss it later. As I told you before, all uncountable nouns are singular. If you want to convert uncountable nouns into plural, then you cannot add an S or ES because uncountable nouns are always singular. Next, we can't use a or an before uncountable nouns. Instead of a or an, we can use some, much, any, no, a little, and of with uncountable nouns. Next point is we use the singular form of the verb with uncountable nouns. Look at the examples, then you can understand it easily. The furniture doesn't fit for the room. We don't say the furniture don't. If we use don't here instead of doesn't, it is wrong. We should say the furniture doesn't. Next one, we can't go out. Weather is bad. We don't say weather are. Weather is bad. That is the correct form. The knowledge has commercial value. We don't say the knowledge have. Instead of have, we should use has. The knowledge has commercial value. The next point is we can add of for uncountable nouns. At the beginning of the presentation, I told you we can't count uncountable nouns. But there is a way of counting them. As I told you before, we can't count jelly, but we can say a pot of jelly, a cake of soap, a piece of advice, a pane of glass, and a sheet of paper. Here in this slide too, there are some examples. A cup of coffee, a glass of water, a hatred of violence, a love of reading. Then here, the point is we can use the same sentence structure with some abstract nouns, which means we can say a dislike of, a hatred of, a dread of, or a love of. There are a lot of exceptions. The first one is experience. As I told you before, we can't add a or an for uncountable nouns. But if you say like this, it is correct. We can say we had an exciting experience on that journey. The next one, work. As I told you before, work can be uncountable and countable. Work is uncountable when referring to a job, occupation, or employment. But work is countable when it referring to artistic creations, musical composition. As an example, we can say Shakespeare's work. If you say Shakespeare's work, in there, work is countable. Normally, in uncountable nouns, we only use the singular form. Look at this one. We can say a help. We use a before these uncountable nouns in singular form only. We can say a help, a shame, a horror, a hatred, a love of, a pity, a mercy, and a shame. Now look at these sentences. I had a little help back then. She had a good knowledge of new experiments. It is a shame she didn't cooperate. It is a pity he lost the chance. A love of music made her a good musician. A hatred towards others would destroy themselves. In a previous slide, I told you uncountable nouns are singular and there are no plural forms. But there are some uncountable nouns with both singular and plural forms. But there's a rule we can use singular and plural forms of particular words with that clause and there. Look at the examples. We can say a fear or fears, a suspicion, suspicions, a hope or hopes. Now let's see how we use these words in sentences. There is a fear that the flu will become a global pandemic. Here you can see the singular form of an uncountable noun. There are fears that they will be defeated. Here you can see the plural form of an uncountable noun. There is a hope that she will earn good marks. Again, singular form. There are hopes that they will become rich. Plural form. In this video, I discussed some important points related to uncountable nouns. I hope you got it very well. First of all, thank you very much for watching. If you like my videos, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and don't forget to comment.